Hello, everyone. Welcome to this mini lecture. In this lesson, we will learn how to use the gradient tool and the paint bucket tool. This lesson covers the following 4 aspects. 1. Learning objectives. 2. Using the gradient tool. 3. Using the paint bucket tool. And 4. Case study. The learning objectives for this lesson are: 1. Master the use of the gradient tool. 2. Master the use of the paint bucket tool. Using the gradient tool allows you to create a color gradient effect in an image or layer. The paint bucket tool can fill a specified color range within an image or selection with color or a pattern. Now let's explore the gradient tool. The gradient tool is used to fill gradients within the entire document or a selection. To use it, select the gradient tool from the toolbar, then choose a gradient type. Set gradient colors and blending mode from the options bar, and then create the gradient. In the gradient tool options bar, the gradient color bar shows the current gradient colors. Click the button to the right of it to open a drop-down panel where you can select a preset gradient. Clicking directly on the gradient color bar opens the gradient editor, where you can edit the gradient colors. In the gradient editor dialog box, click at the appropriate position below the color edit box to add a color stop. In the color options below, select a color, or double-click the newly created color stop to open the color picker dialog box, where you can set the color. Click OK to change the color of the color stop. Enter a value in the location field or drag the color stop to adjust its position. Select any color stop and click the delete button at the bottom of the dialog box, or press the delete key to remove the color stop. There are 5 gradient types in the gradient tool. Linear gradient creates a gradient along a straight line from the start point to the end point. The gradient direction changes based on how you drag the line, producing different color distributions. For example, dragging the line from left to right produces a left red right green effect, while dragging the line from right to left produces a left green right red effect. Radial gradient creates a circular gradient from the start point to the end point. Angle gradient creates a gradient sweeping counterclockwise around the start point. Reflected gradient creates a symmetrical linear gradient on either side of the start point. Diamond gradient creates a diamond-shaped gradient from the start point, with the endpoint defining one corner of the diamond. In the gradient tool common bar, the reverse option reverses the color order in the gradient, achieving a reversed gradient effect. Note that although we have only used 2 colors in the gradient so far, gradients can actually be composed of multiple colors, as found in Photoshop's default gradient list. The reverse option reverses not only the start and end colors but also all the transition colors in between. For example, a gradient composed of red, green, yellow, blue will be reversed to blue, yellow, green, red. The dither option makes the gradient effect smoother, preventing banding during printing, though this effect isn't obvious on screen. The transparency option maintains transparency in the gradient setting. If unchecked, the gradient will not include transparent areas. You can create a black background image and select the transparent rainbow gradient from the default gradient list, then toggle the transparency option to observe the difference. Since the transparent rainbow gradient includes transparency settings at the start and end points, enabling the option will make these areas transparent, revealing the original black background. When the option is turned off, the transparent areas are filled with a solid color, hiding the black background. Next, let's learn how to use the Paint Bucket tool. The Paint Bucket tool is used to fill areas in an image or selection with color or pattern. Before filling, the Paint Bucket tool samples the color at the click location, filling only areas with the same or similar color. In the Paint Bucket tool options bar, the Fill drop-down menu allows you to select the fill content. When pattern is chosen as the fill content, the pattern drop-down menu is activated. Clicking the button on the right side of this menu opens the pattern drop-down panel, where you can select the desired fill pattern. Pattern drop-down menu defines the fill pattern from the pattern list, and allows operations such as loading, resetting, and replacing patterns. Mode sets the fill mode for solid color or pattern fill. Opacity sets the opacity of the fill content. Tolerance defines the degree of color similarity required to fill pixels. Low tolerance fills pixels with color values very similar to the sample color, while high tolerance fills a broader range of pixels. Anti-alias checking this box smooths the edges of the filled area. Contiguous checking this box fills only the pixels adjacent to the click point. Unchecking it fills all similar pixels in the image. All layers checking this box fills pixels based on the merged color data from all visible layers. Unchecking it fills only the current layer. Now, let's use the Paint Bucket tool to fill color for a cartoon character. 1. Open a source image and select the Paint Bucket tool. Set fill to foreground and tolerance to 60. And check the contiguous box. 2. Open the swatches panel and use the Paint Bucket tool to pick colors from the panel. Cursor changes to an eyedropper, changing the foreground color. Fill the character's face using the Paint Bucket tool. Three. Use the same method to fill the ears, hands, clothes, and shoes. In this lesson, we covered how to use the Gradient tool and the Paint Bucket tool. Please complete the following exercises and practice more in your spare time to deepen your understanding and improve your skills. That concludes this lesson. See you next time.